saw Madame Web with my sister. What a film, what a movie, what a piece of cinema. Oh my God. You guys, there's so much to say about Madame Web. So early in the movie, she has this vision of like a letter S, right? And she like sees it in her vision a couple times, like throughout the movie. She kind of has this vision of an S. And then at the end, her and the villain are fighting on the roof of the Pepsi Cola brand fireworks factory on the docks of Brooklyn, obviously. And she sees the S kind of like wiggling, and she's like, all right, I'm gonna have him be squished by the S. This is a great plan. And so they're fighting, and then he gets squished by the P. It's not even the big P in Pepsi Cola. It's the little P in Pepsi Cola that squishes him. She does almost nothing with her superpowers the whole time. She doesn't really understand how to use them until the final like 20 minutes of the movie, after she goes on a vision quest to Peru, obviously. There's this part in the movie when she has a vision quest in Peru, obviously, which is where she finally learns how to use her powers 20 minutes from the end of the movie. And she sees her mom, who's studying spiders in the Amazon, and she says the mom's like, this baby wants to come, but I've still got more to do. And she goes, why did you hate me? Like that. Everyone in the theater lost their minds. It's an incredible movie. I could describe it for hours, and I would not possibly be able to describe every insane thing that happens in the movie. Also, at one point, the doctor tells her to watch old movies, which, like, it's a 2003 period piece. They're all old movies. But she's like, sure, whatever. And so she's watching A Christmas Carol for some reason, and she goes, Scrooge, you can't change the future, or something like that. Except for, I would argue, in A Christmas Carol, the one thing Scrooge does is change the future. Yes, this means Madame Web is a Christmas movie. Exactly. It's an incredible film. The way that they have instructed Sydney Sweeney to act is crazy. The other two teenagers act really normal. Sydney Sweeney has been instructed to act like she has a secret, but she doesn't. None of them do. Sydney Sweeney's greatest desire in the movie is to visit her mom in the hospital. And, spoiler alert, she gets to do that at the end of the movie, and she's like really happy about it. Her mother is not chronically in the hospital. At the beginning of the movie, Madame Web is not Madame Web yet, and she's driving a 42-year-old woman like to the hospital. This turns out to be Sydney Sweeney's mom, but it's not her mom, it's her stepmom. And it's not the mom who stepped up, because Sydney Sweeney's like, I would love to visit her in the room. And the dad's like, I don't think she would want that. Swimwear. And then later in the movie, she does get to visit her new mother figure in the hospital. And it does feel like that's that arc being complete, which is crazy. At one point, Dakota steals a taxi, and she just drives it around for the rest of the movie and suffers no consequences as a result. She, like, cleverly gets the license plate off of the back of it, and then she's just driving it around. It's a taxi. It says the number on the taxi, on the, like, light up thing, and also on the car itself. You can't just take the license plate off. You're not fooling anyone. It's crazy. At one point, Shoshana from Girls shows up. All she does is use a computer to spy on some teenagers. And she's like, are we really using this computer to spy on some teenagers? And the bad guy is like, yes, because all of his lines are ADR'd for no reason. You still can't understand him. Every line the villain says, it sounds like he learned phonetically and has no idea what it means. I don't think that's the case with the actor. I think this actor I've seen in other stuff, and he's been good in other stuff. But for some reason in this movie, They've had him ADR all his lines, and they all sound insane. Madam Web does not use her powers for anything except for in the final 20 minutes. Also, she hits no less than 3 people with her car. And it's not her car, it's whatever car she stole that she's driving. Everyone forgot how to act in the movie. Everything Sydney Sweeney does is crazy. Like, everything she said got a huge laugh in the theater I was in. And they have her dressed like they are trying so desperately to make you forget that this is Sydney Sweeney. And it does not work. She's like Sydney Sweeney wearing a disguise to pretend not to be Sydney Sweeney. Also, why'd they change her last name? She got to be upside down in a dream sequence because the villain, the whole impetus for the movie is the villain wants to kill these 3 teenage girls because he keeps having dreams about them where they kill him. So he needs to kill them first, right? Before they get their powers and become sexy spider women. So they're just normal teenagers. They do not have powers in this movie. They are only in their costume in a dream sequence. It's crazy. There's just so much that happens at one point, because it's a period piece set in 2003 for no reason. And so at one point, Toxic by Britney Spears is playing on the radio. This is a song that the girls know and are dancing to at this point in the movie. You hear the DJ go, that song's gonna be a hit. I just know it. Yeah, man. It's a Britney Spears song in 2003, and it's clearly already been out for a minute. Also, Emma Roberts is in it as Mary Parker. Adam Scott is Ben Parker. For some reason, they are allergic to saying Peter Parker's name. So Dakota gets invited, Madam Web, gets invited to the baby shower, even though she doesn't want to be friends with anybody because she's an extremely unlikable person, and I think that's so valid of her. She goes to the baby shower, and she's talking to Emma Roberts, and she's like, what are you going to name it? And she's like, we're saving that for the games. And Madam Web's like, the games? And I'm like, yeah, the PS2 game. It's coming out this year. No, the baby shower games. They're going to sit around and guess what the name of the baby is. And you'll never guess. They never once say it. They never say Peter. At no point do they ever say Peter. At one point, though, Madam Web does say, my mom died in childbirth, but that's okay. I wound up in the foster care system and I turned out fine. And then this other woman goes, let's play a different game. Because the game they were playing was, let's go around a circle and share a fond memory of our mom, which is not a baby shower game I've ever participated in. There's one point when Madam Web lets a cat into her house and pours it a bowl of milk. And she says, us strays gotta stick together. And the girl sitting behind me went, Jesus, like that. The cat was very cute. Yes, the cat was extremely cute. Also, Madam Web is like, hey, Ben, I'm going to Peru for an indeterminate amount of time so I can go on a vision quest and learn how to use my powers for once. Can you watch these 3 girls I've kidnapped? If they go out in public, some scary man is going to find them immediately and kill them. And he's like, no problem. And then Emma Roberts goes into labor. So he piles them all into his car to go to the hospital, even though they were safe at the house. So now the evil bad guy is targeting the car that the girls are in, and also Mary Parker and also Peter Parker. So Ben Parker almost gets Peter Parker killed because he can't listen to directions. If he had just left them at home, they would have gone to the hospital, no problem. Also, at one point, Mary Parker says he's just leaping around in there. I can't get him to settle down. Because I guess even before he got bitten by that spider, he just loved to fling himself from side to side. You know, like Spider-Man. At one point, they almost say the word Spider-Man, and she says spider and then hesitates and says person. It's an incredible movie. Do Peter's parents die in the movie? No. Peter gets born in the movie, and we never hear his name. And that's it. It's an incredible film. I could not recommend it more highly. At one point, the villain is like, what connects these girls? And me and my sister went, her web!